Hello everyone, Meteorologist Carly Smith here. The time now is 10:35 a.m. for this live update. Thank you everyone for joining. I am checking the volume and it's working. There we have it. So what you're noticing is it's gloomy here. There's been a change in our weather. There has been a change and it's a fairly big one compared to what we've seen all summer long. This is our first, I would classify this as our first real cold front. Let me know what you think in the comments. Does this count? Because I say yes, definitely. I'm going to send a mobile app alert. So that's why sometimes I kind of wait to start talking on these streams. If you've ever watched and you're like, why is there so much downtime at the beginning? Because there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes on. And I do it all myself. So it's pretty impressive if you weren't aware. But yeah, let me know what you think about this cold front in the comments and then we'll really get started. First taste of fall is here. The cold front moving through will keep temperatures in the 70s. That is what we are going to be talking about. It's also windy, so wind is going to be an issue for us. Uh-oh, I don't know what this error sign is. That's a little concerning. It's going to be an issue for us. Uh-oh, I don't know what this error sign is. That's a little concerning. That might be on my weather computer. Oh, it's on the camera. Okay, so that's on our Lex camera, so not too worried about that. 76 degrees is our current temperature, so we're gonna just get off that and there's no more errors. Right now, here's a look at our satellite radar imagery. The cold front is moving through now as we speak. So we're gonna dive into all the details now officially. Thank you so much for joining. The time now is 10:38. Hey there, y'all. I'm Meteorologist Carly Smith. It is a little dark. I didn't turn the lights on, but we're going to get into the graphics. Here's a look at the cold front that's moving through. You're going to notice, a few storms. Mostly have been along the coastline. That front is pushing through. It's a backdoor cold front. What that means is it's moving from the northeast and pushing toward the southwest. So that's a little bit backward. Typically, they move the opposite direction. Not totally opposite, but they typically come from the northwest and move in toward the southeast. Right now, this front really pushing through Baffin Bay. Some thunderstorms have developed along the front. Yeah, they are thunderstorms. We're not seeing a huge drop in temperatures behind the front, but notice Kingsville's at 78 while Corpus Christi at 75. So there is a little bit of a drop in temperature there as we speak. So right now, here's a look at that radar imagery a little bit closer. We do have some thunder. This is moving a little bit more inland. So this storm is skirted right along the bayfront. There have been some tropical funnels or possibly even water spouts if it reached the ground. I haven't seen a photo confirming anything reaching the surface. But if that funnel makes it to the ground, it would be a water spout. There's been a couple of those reported early on this morning, but not anticipating anything major. But our winds are pretty gusty. I want to point out another cool radar feature that is going to be over on the left side. You see kind of these lines. This happened as the first kind of initial boundary as the front first started to send a wave essentially that disrupted the stable atmosphere out ahead of it. That wave created what is known as gravity waves, which you can see on this storm relative velocity image as well. You see those pass through Benavides, Rivera, Hebronville, Encino, Falfurrias. Those are gravity waves. So out in the wild, outside of a building, if you're looking up at the clouds, they probably looked like lines and there was space. So there would be a line of clouds, some blue sky, a line of clouds, some blue sky. That's what we were seeing initially out ahead of the front. Some fog developed as well. But right now, here's a look at our wind speed. So the wind has picked up. We're getting sustained wind out at Port Aransas at 26 miles per hour. Naval Air Station 25, that thunderstorm right over Baffin Bay as we speak. So as that storm passes through, as the front passes through, everyone's going to start to notice some stronger winds. So we are starting to get some nearly 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts out at the Naval Air Station, 33-mile-per-hour gusts right now in Corpus Christi. This is going to continue between now and really 4 or 5 o'clock this evening. We're going to stay pretty gusty. Here's a look at our current dew points as well. So our northern counties, Refugio, Beeville, I really expect those counties to definitely see lower lower dew points. The rest of us, we're still going to have a bit of an easterly flow. So what's going to happen is, I can't draw because I'm not using our other weather computer. I'm using the one I can't operate from over here. But what we are going to notice is the wind flowing across the Gulf of Mexico from the northeast. So what that's going to do as it shifts a little bit more east-northeast into this afternoon, if you're looking at this image, you're going to see the wind coming across where it says, where it gives what each dew point means, essentially. So you'll see the wind flowing through like the T's from Little, through the Smile of the Perfect, and then into Rockport. So that's the wind is still gonna be flowing off the Gulf of Mexico for much of the coastal bend. We're still gonna have an east-northeast wind throughout much of the day. So I don't see a huge drop in our dew points. It will be a little lower. It won't be quite as deep or as warm of Gulf water, but we are still going to have dew points around 60 or higher. So Rockport's dew point right now, the front's already passed. They've kind of hit 61. I think low 60s, possibly upper 50s is the best we're going to get. So Kingsville, your dew point will continue to fall. Corpus, I think, will fall a little bit, but we're not going to get into really that perfect or dry level across much of the area. Now, brush country, any area that's not getting, so this line I'm kind of drawing, that would extend from Rockport down through somewhere in between Robstown and Kingsville and then through Falfurrias. You're going to stay a little humid. Areas north of there, so Refugio, Beeville, George West, possibly Ferrer Benavides also, you're going to get drier. So there is a little bit of a fire danger or hazard with that being said. So what you see here, there we have it. The front is passed through. By this afternoon, we have Smiles to the north. Those areas still under the east-northeast influence, a little unimpressed with the drop in humidity. As we continue to see a northeast wind into Thursday morning, that's when we get that line. So that line from Refugio to Sinton, Robstown, Alice, Benavides, Hebronville, a little bit of a fire danger. Our winds are still going to be breezy. They're not going to be as strong as today, but they're still going to be pretty breezy tomorrow. So the fire danger risk goes up a little bit there. Lots of Smiles though across the board tomorrow morning, but it's closer to 60 than I would say 55 for those areas along the coast. We're still green. We're not getting those brown colors, right? So here's a look outside. Again, this is where their Lex camera. You can tell the water's choppy now. So while conditions were really smooth and nice for fishing and so forth early on this morning, conditions have changed. We are now seeing the wind again out pretty gusty. Let's see. Benzo says, feels good. Thanks for bringing the cool weather finally. Diana says, we need the rain. We do need the rain. October has been very dry for us, unfortunately. That's not a good sign. Hopefully that trend doesn't continue, but there's not a good sign of rain. We are going to be in a little bit of a more unstable, kind of maybe a little mist, light rain pattern, but nothing substantial is in the forecast. So Rick says it's stormy out on the island. The winds have definitely increased this past hour. Yeah, any rain that we're going to see today, mostly on the island and Kingsville and south of there. So Baffin Bay south of there, kind of a line from Kingsville to Hebronville has the best shot at any rainfall. But look at those winds. Wind is going to stay sustained 20 to 25 miles per hour through about 4 p.m. 5, 6 p.m. we start to see a little bit of improvement in the wind. So here's a look at what you could expect. Some rain. Now this model does take a little bit inland on the south side of Corpus Christi possibly, but with the latest trends, I would say Baffin Bay to Hebronville have the best chance for rain even heading into this evening. Temperatures falling into the 60s overnight. We could see some 50s on the board. I do not think Corpus Christi will get down into the 50s. Here's a look also, the cold front starting to create chop out there on the water. Now, right now, our wave heights are still only 2 feet, but the period has really picked up. So that means it is choppy out there. Look at this difference. 10-foot waves out at Freeport now that the front is passed. The front has not quite made it. It's almost there at the Corpus Christi buoy, which is a little bit closer to Baffin Bay than Corpus Christi Bay. But yeah, once the front passes our buoy, we're going to get more chop there as well. Let me see what the wind is. 22 miles per hour, gust 27. So the front just arriving at our local buoy. So the waves are going to react a little bit slower than the initial front. But this is kind of fascinating to me as a surfer slash weather meteorologist, weather enthusiast, meteorologist, all of the above, the way the ocean reacts to cold fronts is very fascinating to me. So what we see here is the wind out of the northeast, 20 to 25 knots. That is your marine forecast. The waves will increase up to 7 feet. So they're still running at about 2 foot now. They're going to pick up to 7 feet. The period will increase a little bit, but it's going to be pretty choppy and rough as we continue to see these strong winds. I do think we're going to get minor coastal flooding. High tide at Bob Hall Pier is 316 with an east-northeast wind that pushes an additional kind of burst of water up under the water. So you get a bit of a flow that comes to the right of the wind direction that pushes water underneath the surface toward the coastline. So the northeast wind and the pickup in the waves and the full moon is tomorrow. All of those things contributing to the chance for some minor coastal flooding. So here's our 3 p.m. wind or wave forecast, wind and wave. In northeast, 28 miles per hour. You see 6 foot waves, possibly 7 foot waves. I don't think we'll get to 8 foot at our beaches. You would have to paddle out pretty far to get that. But yeah, and it's going to stay a bit unsettled out on our local water. The front's going to kind of stall, keep lower pressure out in the Gulf. Winds are going to stay pretty breezy. So we're going to continue to see some nice wind-driven wave action out here on our local beaches. Even through Tuesday, that's when the waves start to fall a little bit. So southeast wind does return pretty quickly. It's lighter by Tuesday, but we're still going to get some decent chop out there throughout the upcoming week. So I would say this is an alert, a weather impact alert for rip current hazard, minor coastal flooding, and rough seas, specifically just for just the rough sea conditions, right? So this is kind of borderline criteria for what we would make an official weather impact alert, but we could get up to 7 foot waves today, 6 foot waves Saturday and Sunday, and our periods are borderline that kind of alert criteria for a period. And additionally, when you have a period that's as high as the wave, that's mostly just choppy. So that's not good. It probably actually will lower our wave heights more than you would expect. So when we say 7 foot at 7 seconds, that's going to create, there's going to be a lot of moving parts out in the ocean. And I don't think that the waves will quite reach 7 feet because you really want a period that's longer than your wave height. But regardless, what we are seeing is some waves and rough conditions out at sea after we had very calm conditions through the weekend and early part of the week. So cold front, what do you define an official cold front for winter, Benzo? What temperature is that in your book? Because this is the strongest cold front we have seen so far this season. Obviously, we do get stronger ones that lower our temperatures even more. So what temperature are you considering for winter? Also, winter does not officially start until December 20th or 21st. I haven't looked at what it exactly is for this year. But just a note, it stays pretty choppy out there on our water, so we do have a small craft advisory through at least Thursday morning, but we're still looking, this is in miles per hour, but we're still looking at wind speeds about 10 to 20 miles per hour out of the east, then back out of the east-southeast. So that's why our dew points aren't going to be too awesome, but they're going to be improved. Additionally, the stronger cold air, again, is going to be over the east coast. They're going to see the much colder temperatures, the winter-like conditions. There's freeze warnings and frost alerts in Georgia today. So it is going to be cold that direction. We're kind of in this middle ground. We keep a little bit of an unsettled weather pattern with a cutoff low that sets up over the Four Corners region over the weekend. That's what's going to lead to a chance for a little bit of rain that could impact things like Jazz Fest or outdoor activities. So yeah, there's still a chance of rain. I think as of today, it looks like our best shot of rain is Saturday evening into Sunday morning. That could be when we see the most rain from kind of that cutoff low forming and kind of pulling up some moisture out of the Pacific. But overall, yeah, we've got east-southeast winds, still pretty breezy through Sunday. Winds calm down a little bit Monday into Tuesday. It's not cold by any means, but it is cool outside. Temperatures are in the 70s. I think we'll be lucky if we hit 79 at this point now that the front has already passed. So Kings will hit 82, the front moving through there now. 79, potentially the high in Corpus Christi, but it's already 75. I don't see our temperatures warming that much into the afternoon because we're going to stay this gloomy cloudiness behind the front. So that's all I have for this live weather update. I think I answered most people's questions. I wish we were getting more rain. There's a chance Corpus sees a little bit of rain as we still get a little bit of instability behind the cold front, but most of the rain is going to stay right along the coast and then out toward Hebronville and south of there. Thank you so much again. I'm meteorologist Carly Smith signing off for 3 News, First Edition, 3 News Plus, this live update. So thank you so much for watching.